Om Jnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Svapitam Yena Bhutale Svayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupaham Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatha Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvetam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Dehivam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Prihe Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for keeping up and to read along. This is a wonderful thing. It's a beautiful thing to learn. And when you do the Mangala Charn, you are invoking everyone, the Guru and 6 Goswamis, Radha and Krishna, the Gopis, Mahaprabhu, everybody. So you're in a very short time you're paying respects to everybody. And it's okay. Fantastic.
I have one question.
Please.
That when you're doing kirtan and
Yes.
they're singing Hari Bol,
Right.
Hari Bol, what comes after Hari Bol?
Nitai Gaura Hari Bol.
Nitai Gaura. Okay, I like Hari
So that's Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu
Okay,
together.
you say it again?
Nitai Gaura.
Nitai Gaura. Okay.
Yes.
I like
And
trying
what is
to
Nitai Gaura?
It's Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya, the deities that you see. So you're praying to them because they're the ones that gave us the Maha.
And Gaura means the golden one, because
Okay.
Mahaprabhu had a golden complexion. Has golden.
Okay. As
Yes.
right.
I
Eternal.
mean, when I say had, like during the
get
earthly
it.
pastimes, yeah. So I would like to start with Bhagavad Gita 2:17. Avina situ tadviti yena sarvam idam tatam vinasam avyayasya na kaschit kartumarhati. Translation: Know that which pervades the entire body is indestructible. No one is able to destroy the imperishable soul. Purport: This verse more clearly explains the real nature of the soul, which is spread all over the body. Anyone can understand what is spread all over the body. It is consciousness. Everyone is conscious of the pains and pleasures of the body in part or as a whole. This spreading of consciousness is limited within one's own body. The pains and pleasures of one's body are unknown to another. Therefore, each and every body is the embodiment of an individual soul, and the symptom of the soul's presence is perceived as individual consciousness. This soul is described as 1/10,000th part of the upper portion of the hair point in size. The Svetasvatara Upanishad confirms this. Balagra Sata Bhagyasya Satata Kalpatasya Cha Bhago Jiva Sa Vigyaneya Sa Chanantyaya Kalpate. When the upper point of a hair is divided into 100 parts, and again each of such parts is further divided into 100 parts, each such part is the measurement of the dimension of the spirit soul. That's chapter 5, verse 9. Similarly, in the Bhagavatam, the same version is stated. Kesagra sata bhagyasya satamsa sadrisam satmakaha. Jiva suksma swarupoyam sankyatito hi chitkanaha. There are innumerable particles of spiritual atoms which are measured as 1/10,000th of the upper portion of the hair. Therefore, the individual particle of spirit soul is a spiritual atom smaller than the material atoms, and such atoms are innumerable. This very small spiritual spark is the basic principle of the material body, and the influence of such a spiritual spark is spread all over the body as the influence of the active principle of some medicine spreads throughout the body. This current of the spirit soul is felt all over the body as consciousness, and that is the proof of the presence of the soul. Any layman can understand that the material body minus consciousness is a dead body, and this consciousness cannot be revived in the body by any means of material administration. Therefore, consciousness is not due to any amount of material combination, but to the spirit soul. In the Mundaka Upanishad, the measurement of the atomic spirit soul is further explained. Esho nuratma chetasa veditavyo yasmin prana panchanda samvivesha pranais chitam sarvam otam prajanam yasmin visudhe vibhavati esha atma. The soul is atomic in size and can be perceived by perfect intelligence. This atomic soul is floating in the 5 kinds of air: prana, apana, vyana, samana, and udana. Is situated within the heart and spreads its influence all over the body of the embodied living entities. When the soul is purified from the contamination of the 5 kinds of material air, its spiritual influence is exhibited. 319. The Hatha Yoga system is meant for controlling the 5 kinds of air, encircling the pure soul by different kinds of sitting postures, not for any material profit, but for liberation of the minute soul from the entanglement of the material atmosphere. So the constitution of the atomic soul is admitted in all Vedic literatures, and is also actually felt in the practical experience of any sane man. Only the insane man can think of this atomic soul as an all-pervading Vishnu Tattva. The influence of the atomic soul can be spread all over a particular body. According to the Mundaka Upanishad, this atomic soul is situated in the heart of every living entity. And because the measurement of the atomic soul is beyond the power of appreciation of the material scientists, some of them assert foolishly that there is no soul. The individual atomic soul is definitely there in the heart, along with the supersoul, and thus all the energies of bodily movement are emanating from this part of the body. The corpuscles which carry the oxygen from the lungs gather energy from the soul. When the soul passes away from this position, activity of the blood generating fusion ceases. Medical science accepts the importance of the red corpuscles, but it cannot ascertain the source of the energy. It is the soul. Medical science, however, does admit that the heart is the seat of all energies of the body. Such atomic particles of the spirit whole are compared to the sunshine molecules. In the sunshine, there are innumerable radiant molecules. Similarly, the fragmental parts of the Supreme Lord are atomic sparks of the rays of the Supreme Lord, called by the name Prabha, or spiritual superior energy. Neither Vedic knowledge nor modern science denies the existence of the spirit soul in the body, and the science of the soul is explicitly described in the Bhagavad Gita by the personality of Godhead himself.
Want to hear something interesting that I heard?
Yes.
So on Wisdom of the Sages, they have, the guests on, and they had a Sanskrit scholar, and he said that the word atom comes from Atma.
Nice.
Oh,
Right? So there's a lot of words
that come from
that come
Sanskrit.
from
True.
Sanskrit origin.
Yes.
So it makes sense, right?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Atomic or atom would come from Atma. So,
Yes.
But it's kind of weird that it's so tiny, you know?
Yes.
But it has a spark.
And it's tiny, and yet
But it ignites, through the body.
and as we're going to learn soon in this chapter, it's indestructible. The soul it is not created or destroyed. It can never be destroyed. Something so small.
And the Paramatma is what? Is that the same size?
Paramatma is within the soul.
Okay, so that Paramatma is within that tiny little atom of...
Right. And that is Krishna within all of us.
But that's what you need, is that tiny little speck of Krishna, and then you're alive.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, we can't.
And in that way, he never leaves us. He's always with us.
Right.
And of course, he knows us very well. He knows everything we're doing. Yeah.
Like Santa Claus.
It's funny. I was thinking that too, and I didn't want to say it, but it's funny that we had the same thought.
And they were saying how Christ comes from Krishna, Christmas, all that.
Yeah.
Christos. Well, I mean, I think his name is Yeshua in Hebrew. Yeah.
Okay.
And somewhere, and I think it was the Greeks who gave him Christos as like a title, the Christ.
Interesting. But it does sound similar.
It's all
Yeah.
But actually, like, for instance, like in Greek, there is a name Rhoda, and they say actually Rhoda comes from Radha. Yeah.
What does Rhoda in Greek mean?
That's a really good question. I don't know the answer to that, but
it's
I have to look up. I have to look that up now, because I really have to know this because it means rose.
ROTA or R? How does it spell?
RHODA.
RH.
And Radha is RADHA.
RAD, right.
So, I mean, I think I never actually investigated if it truly came from there, but a lot of people say that. And then the generally accepted meaning of the name Radha is success, prosperity, and luster. So actually, we believe that Lakshmi Devi, who is the goddess of fortune, she's all associated with money, fortune, and success. She's an expansion of Srimati Radharani, and Krishna is the original aspect. He's the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And of course, we have Krishna, the divine masculine. That's like a New Age term people use. And then Srimati Radharani is the Ladini Shakti. She is the origin of all expansions of like the Devi, the goddess. Everyone is some distant expansion. I would say probably Lakshmi Devi is one of the, closest as far as the expansion of Srimati Radharani. And even all the gopis are expansions of Srimati Radharani, and also the queens of Dwarka are also her expansions. So,
Yeah.
so
Yes, you need a Radha deity.
actually, it's good to have. Krishna should not be alone. He can be alone, but we like to have someone with him. Ultimately, the best is Srimati Radharani, because actually, I want to share with you something from the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, if you don't mind. Some cross-referencing here. Vrajavasi Yatajana Matapita Sakagana Sabehoya Mora Prana Sama Tanra Madhya Gopigana Sakshat Mora Jivana Tumi Mora Jivanera Jivana. Sri Krishna continued, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan Dham, my mother, father, cowherd boyfriends, and everything else are like my life and soul. And among all the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the gopis are my very life and soul. And among the gopis, you, Srimati Radharani, are the chief. Therefore, you are the very life of my life. So that's the utmost. And I want to also read the purport. This is written by Srila Prabhupada. Srimati Radharani is the center of all Vrindavan's activities. In Vrindavan, Krishna is the instrument of Srimati Radharani. Therefore, all the inhabitants of Vrindavan still chant Jai Radhe. From Krishna's own statement given herein, it appears that Radharani is the queen of Vrindavan, and that Krishna is simply her decoration. Krishna is known as Madan Mohan, the enchanter of Cupid, but Srimati Radharani is the enchanter of Krishna. Consequently, Srimati Radharani is called Madan Mohan Mohini, the enchanter of Cupid.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that always confuses me. So why is it? Or whatever.
No, please.
I'm
Please
just
ask.
so curious because it seems like she is the one.
She is.
But why don't we say why is it Krishna that we chant? Even though I know.
Well, we
that
do. Hare is
yeah.
Srimati Radharani. When we say Hare, that is Srimati Radharani.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a pastime. Krishna is
It's
number one,
Mm-hmm.
but
So Krishna is the one, but it seems like
Krishna. Yes, I mean Krishna is doing everything. I mean, when he's in Vrindavan, he's the supreme enjoyer. He's playing the flute and he's enjoying. And when he comes out of Vrindavan, he goes to Mathura and Dwarka, and he's dispensing the Dharma. When he goes to Kurukshetra, he's teaching all of us about, the Bhagavad Gita and everything, and how to live and everything. And he has expansions. He expands into Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu's creating innumerable universes, unlimited universes. And they come and go. So he is doing, and all his expansions are also, they're administrating the universe. They're doing all the little things. He has expansions that do all the work. But when he's in Vrindavan and he's the supreme enjoyer, I mean, ultimately he's surrounded by people who love him more than anyone ever, and to get there, for us to get there, we have to really develop attachment to Krishna to get there.
So is Radha only in that pastime?
Right. I mean, I just want to.
So she's that in. Okay.
she's the
I'm
queen of
sorry.
Vrindavan.
So we're all we all have a certain amount of love for Krishna, and through that love, there's a certain degree of influence that we have over Krishna. Krishna accepts everyone who loves him, and the one with the most love is Srimati Radharani. It's like limitless love.
So she has the most influence
and-
on Krishna.
And thus, he can control.
Okay.
She controls him by her love.
Mhm.
Even though he's so powerful and does all the creating, because she loves him so much.
Mhm.
And her life's goal is not just to serve him, but to make him as happy as possible, whether she's singing to him or cooking to him or longing for him. Like, it's to teach us how to love Krishna. Krishna doesn't really need anything, but Radha's like his arm candy,
Right.
you know, like showing us how to behave, showing us how to serve each other. And if you offend Radharani's if you offend the devotees, Radharani, she gets so mad. There's nothing worse than offending a devotee.
Right.
Whether you like them or not, you know, you have to ask for forgiveness if you offend devotees, because she doesn't take it lightly. Because just like we were saying how we feel the association of each other when we're together and we walk away, it's different. Radharani's protecting us from that, protecting us from being, you know, she wants us to stay devotees. She
Right.
wants us to have a higher consciousness, to serve Krishna, and to just feel that love all the time. So if you offend a devotee, you only see their faults. Radharani's only seeing the service that devotee does. She's not like, oh, you didn't cut your fingernails, oh, you didn't do,
Right.
you know, she's just like, oh my God, you served me you served Krishna so nicely. You made this garland, or you offered this water. That's what she sees. And that's what we have to like go for, is like, how can we serve like Radharani?
Exactly. And that's the, you know, we are Rupanugas. That's the word. Rupanuga means the followers of Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami was the chief of the 6 Goswamis, who were the associates of Mahaprabhu. And when Rupa Goswami, I mean, he has, and all the associates of Mahaprabhu, they have eternal positions in Goloka, Vrindavan. And Rupa Goswami is Sri Rupa Manjari. She is the chief of all the maidservants of Srimati Radharani.
Wait, say that name again? Who's the chief of?
So Sri Rupa Goswami's eternal spiritual forms is Sri Rupa Manjari.
Okay.
And she is actually she is doing so much service for Srimati Radharani.
Okay.
So actually, the ultimate goal in our Sampradaya is to have the service of Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari. I mean, of course, it's all dependent on our mood. It's really who we are in the spiritual world, but that's the topmost, that's the pinnacle of what we can do in the spiritual world. Because there's so much service to be done, and it's extremely sweet, you know.
Yeah.
We can, you know, those who can attain that level, they participate in the rasa dance with Krishna and the gopis.
I had dreams about
I know you do.
Of the rasa dance?
that.
Yeah, that she's there.
Wow.
Wow,
Are
that's
you
very
kidding?
special.
Yeah, that's not like ordinary.
And you know, we were just talking about this recently. There's a phenomenon called sporty.
Sporting?
Sporty.
I'm like, what is sporting? Is that sex? Is that
Sport? No.
Sporty?
Sporty. It means
Okay.
it means like you get some sort of you get a glimpse of the divine.
We were just talking about
Yeah.
that.
Yes, so actually when we get to that, it can be very early on in your spiritual life, and that gives you the drive to keep going, because you get a glimpse, you know what you're going to experience if you keep going.
Yeah. It may not be this lifetime, though. I mean,
It
or
may not
even
be,
the next.
but you know something, like, you know,
Right.
like, we have to, on the one hand, we have to be realistic. This is we have an amazing opportunity, because this is once a day in Brahma that Mahaprabhu comes to distribute this love, this prema. And yes, it may take a few lifetimes,
Right.
but if we really kind of want it badly enough and take the action, we can go there in this lifetime, you know. Because Prabhupada, you know, I think it was Bhaktisiddhanta who said the material world is no place for a gentleman. I think, we can safely assume that he meant ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
right.
And Prabhupada said, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada said that you should really conclude your business in this world and just be ready to leave in this lifetime. Because when you think about it, it's really a big risk. It's not a good and he even said it's not a good policy to say, oh, I'll do this in the next life, because you don't know where you'll be in the next life. Because we're imperfect people. We, right now we are incurring karma. Like they say, devotees are not making karma, but like we're imperfect. Yes, I'm sure I am too. I'm absolutely sure of that. So when we're doing this, like, it's gonna tally up in the next life. So
Just as your good deeds tally up.
yeah,
Too.
I think,
But you can't take it so lightly. Like, there's no guarantee you're going to be a human in your next life.
right.
There's no guarantee you're coming back to this planet. There's no guarantee, like, you're not going to lose anything that you've acquired spiritually, but there's no guarantee that you're going to be this comfortable the next time.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, you can either be uncomfortable or too comfortable. It's like, oh, I love my life. What do I need to do this spiritual stuff? I just love my life the way it is. And when I met the devotees, I was very uncomfortable. I had a lot going on. My parents were in some serious separation. There was a lot of stress. There was a lot of chaos in my life. And when I met the devotees, I'm like, wow, take me with you.
Yeah.
I would say, like, I'll have what you're having.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'll have what you're having. That's
Yeah.
that's a beautiful maxim. Yeah. So
Thank you.
yeah, let me see. I guess we move on to the next verse.
218.
Yes. Antavanta ime deha nitya syokata sarirna anasino prameyasya tasmad yudhyasva bharata. Only the material body of the indestructible, immeasurable, and eternal living entity is subject to destruction. Therefore, fight, O descendant of Bharata. Purport. The material body is perishable by nature. It may perish immediately, or it may do so after 100 years. It is a question of time only. There is no chance of maintaining it indefinitely, but the spirit soul is so minute that it cannot even be seen by an enemy, to say nothing of being killed. As mentioned in the previous verse, it is so small that no one can have any idea how to measure its dimensions. So, from both viewpoints, there is no cause of lamentation, because the living entity can neither be killed as he is, nor can the material body, which cannot be saved for any length of time, be permanently protected. The minute particle of the whole spirit acquires this material body according to his work, and therefore observance of religious principles should be utilized. In the Vedanta Sutras, the living entity is qualified as light because he is part and parcel of the Supreme Light. As sunlight maintains the entire universe, so the light of the soul maintains this material body. As soon as the spirit soul is out of this material body, the body begins to decompose. Therefore, it is the spirit soul which maintains this body. The body itself is unimportant. Arjuna was advised to fight and sacrifice the material body for the cause of religion. I believe this is fairly straightforward.
Yeah.
Any comments or questions?
No.
And just as always, if you have any questions whatsoever, it's perfectly fine. You're very much encouraged to express those questions.
Sometimes I'm told I have too many questions.
No,
I used to be told that in school. I have so many questions.
I, for one, will never tell you that.
Yeah, me either.
Yeah, and she won't
My
either.
kids even say to me, why are you asking so
How are
many
you supposed to
questions?
learn?
Yeah, this is the only, and really, it is the only way to learn. because I think Maha and I, we spent our young years among many devotees, and we learned so much. So a lot of the gaps have been filled. So
I'm trying not to be envious of that. Like, I keep thinking back, well, I was a kid or a teenager at that time where, why wasn't I wish, like, I think about, like, what if I was hanging out in the city and
Yeah, but
But I
you're
was hanging out
perfectly
in
placed
Queens.
to go through all the shit you went through to get you to where you are
yeah,
today.
I know.
And now the opportunity's there.
I
to do
just
all
find it
this.
so amazing that so many people really
you know,
had that opportunity. You know, they were hanging out in the streets of
Yeah,
the
and
city
they were just kids too.
yeah, just kids.
I just watched that movie on Netflix.
Yeah, what was that movie like?
It was just so good because you really there was so much footage and they really were kids. And one of the things that was, there was this lawsuit going on at one time where things got a little chaotic in California and parents were trying to stop the movement because they considered it brainwashing.
Yeah.
And Prabhupada stood up and said, yes, it is brainwashing because their minds are dirty and they need cleaning.
Right.
And I thought that's so amazing, you know. And his argument in court was every time the lawyers would say, like, oh, they're coming after this, he said, nope, everybody has to, anybody who's involved in this court case, the other,
Argument or what, like the other side.
the other side, the prosecution, they had to read the Srimad Bhagavatam. That was
Wow.
part of
Oh
it.
yes, I heard about that.
That was part of it. He said, just keep telling them they got to read it. They got to read it. It's part of
like
this.
part of their research for the
It was
case.
part of the
Right.
research, and once they all read it, they agreed that yes, this is the oldest spiritual text, and it is a valid religion. It's the oldest religion, and they won. All of the court cases.
What
got-
was that documentary? Do you remember?
Just type in Hare Krishna and you'll see.
Okay.
It's like
The
you'll
man, the movie.
the
Rick, can you
man,
search
the
Hare Krishna for
movement.
me?
Yeah, the
The
man,
man
the
movement,
movement.
and
You'll
the
see Prabhupada. And I sent you guys the video at the end,
Yeah.
that song. I just
Yeah.
sat there with tears pouring out of my eyes, and how grateful I am that, like, maybe I wasn't there and I had that same feeling of like, oh, but I am now, and I'm
Yeah.
grateful for
Yeah.
that.
Alright.
Some people go their whole entire lives
Right.
with no knowledge of any of this.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
Imagine that.
Imagine that.
Being asleep just
Your
a very
whole
short
life.
time after Mahaprabhu came to, Mayapur and everything.
Yeah.
But every single person here is very fortunate. I mean, I had a gap in my spiritual life, and I wish I had filled that. Especially after everything I experienced personally. I'm very ashamed of that personally. But I'm glad that at least I had the sense to pick myself up. And I
Yeah.
had the strength and the inspiration to do it. So it's just really the here and now is really the most important thing. The fact that you're all here now is the best thing. There's no such thing as being too late. The only time when it's too late is when you're like on your deathbed, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you have the grace and the mercy right now. And I think we have one more. We have time for one more
What
verse.
time is it?
It's 9:40.
Yeah, perfect.
Wow.
And it's a short verse. I mean, it's
Yeah.
short purport. Ya enam veti hantaram yas chaina manyate hatam ubhau tau na vijanito nayam hanti na hanyate. Translation: He who thinks that the living entity is the slayer or that he is slain does not understand. One who is in knowledge knows that the self slays, nor not, that the self slays not, nor is slain.
Wow, the verse in this book is completely different.
What's yours?
Neither he who thinks the living entity the slayer, nor he who thinks it slain is in knowledge. For the self slays not, nor is, for the
Not.
self slays not, nor is slain. I mean, it's,
Yeah.
but
So
worded completely.
yeah, after Srila Prabhupada disappeared, there were edits
Yeah.
that were done, and some
Maha
devotees,
doesn't like
including
No,
myself, we prefer to have the original.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna
Dish.
get that though.
Prabhupada said don't, because the whole thing about the parampara system is we're learning exactly what our teachers learned from their teachers. It shouldn't be deviated, distracted,
Right.
changed. So just the fact that these devotees edited the books and for grammatical or for,
Right.
it's bullshit. It's like they're putting their opinion into these books. Prabhupada was ordained by his spiritual master to do this, and you have the audacity.
Right.
There should be a period here or a comma
Right.
there.
Yeah, right.
Like even a small thing like that.
Yes.
To me, it's like saying it's a slap in the face. Like Prabhupada spent his whole life, he's on his deathbed doing these books,
Right.
and you have the higher knowledge to change. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no way there is no way the Oxford comma is gonna trump a Mahabhagavad in
Right.
any way. Impossible. So, like Srila Prabhupada very obviously was Mahabhagavad. He was the topmost devotee. He came here, he slept 2 hours a day. He was
know.
teaching
I nap 2 hours.
Right.
I sleep a whole night and then I nap 2 hours.
so
Yeah.
No,
I-
I get it. Just
yeah.
like, I'm trying to follow along and it was completely different.
Yeah.
Not all of them are that way.
Yeah,
No.
I
This
just
one was. Okay.
yeah. I just want to finish the purport
Yeah,
before.
go ahead.
When an embodied living entity is hurt by fatal weapons, it is to be known that the living entity within the body is not killed. The spirit's soul is so small that it is impossible to kill him by any material weapon, as is evident from the previous verses. Nor is the living entity killable because of his spiritual constitution. What is killed, or is supposed to be killed, is the body only. This, however, does not at all encourage killing of the body. The Vedic injunction is, Mahim syat sarva bhutani, never commit violence to anyone. Nor does understanding that the living entity is not killed encourage animal slaughter. Killing the body of anyone without authority is abominable and is punishable by the law of the state as well as the law of the Lord. Arjuna, however, is being engaged in killing for the principle of religion and not whimsically. So, of course, I think we all have at least a pretty good idea of the Mahabharata. So we do know that the Kauravas really took way too many liberties, and they were not acting in proper justice. It was that kingdom belonged to the sons of Pandu. So, and they were very unreasonable about it. They did so many horrible things. They goaded Yudhisthira into a gambling war,
Right.
and then when he lost, they wanted to disrobe Draupadi right there in public. It was just really absolutely disgusting. So
Abominable.
abominable.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that's a good word.
Yeah.
And so like they turned this into a do or die situation. And Arjuna, as we saw in chapter 1, was ready to just give it all up and be an ascetic, because he was just so, even to those who hurt him so much, he was so attached. And he, and this is, and it's not like a bad thing. It's just, when we have a big heart and we love others, we're willing to, there's so much we're willing to do in that situation. But Krishna gave him that authority. And he said, whatever you do, these people are going to die anyway. They're already dead. But he had to do this service for Krishna. He directly asked him to do it. Yes.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
So what's happening today at the Bhakti Center? Anything, or is it just
Well, everyone's gearing
normal?
up for Roth, so.
Say that again?
Everyone's gearing up for Roth Yatras, Rod Nuts and Tang.
Okay, so at 11 o'clock this morning, they're going to have a lecture by Dinabandhu Prabhu. He's a Prabhupada disciple, who is also, he does the parikram, the pilgrimage of Vrindavan every year. And I think he does it in such a way that everyone really walks the whole thing, which is really remarkable.
Yeah. What is
And-
that, like how many hours? 8 hours or
No,
something?
it's longer than that.
It's,
Longer
I
than
think
that?
it's the whole day, right? What
it's
is it,
every
like
every
2
day is the
hours?
whole day, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure. And then later today is going to be the Panihati Rice Festival.
The heck is the
Like,
Panihati?
but
I've never
you
heard
know,
of that.
but you know what? Actually, the Long Island Temple's having it too.
Oh, I never heard of that.
Where did you get this? Did you get that in India?
Yeah.
See, like I
It's
would
my
wear
favorite
something
one.
more like that, or the long top with
Yeah.
the leggings.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just know I
I
couldn't.
know. I'm thinking even for Rath Yatra, I don't want to wear a sari. It's just too much.